MicroStrategy is now officially the world's largest Bitcoin company. But before Michael Saylor was orange-pilled, he led and survived one of the most catastrophic corporate crashes in stock market history. So how did MicroStrategy rise from the ashes to Bitcoin glory? Let's mine deep. In the late 90s, MicroStrategy was the darling of the tech world, riding the dot-com bubble wave with the business intelligence software. Michael Saylor took the company public in 1998 at age 33, and by early 2000, its stock price skyrocketed to over $400 per share, valuing the company at $13 billion. Saylor was living the dream, or at least the 90s version of it. He hosted extravagant parties, graced magazine covers, and pitched ideas for universities of the future, like he was auditioning for a TED Talk. Forbes even dubbed him the richest man in Washington, D.C. But as quickly as the company soared, it plummeted. In March 2000, the SEC accused MicroStrategy of overstating its revenue, a mistake that wiped out 99% of the company's value in a year. After settling on a penalty for fraud charges, its stock price collapsed and Saylor's personal wealth evaporated, soon becoming a poster child for the dot-com buzz. For most CEOs, that would have been the end, but Saylor wasn't done. For the next 20 years, MicroStrategy flatlined. Growth was steady but uninspiring, and the company quietly slipped into obscurity. Then, in 2020, the big idea finally came. With the Federal Reserve printing trillions in response to the pandemic, Saylor saw what others missed. The dollar was becoming a liability, and Bitcoin was the antidote. MicroStrategy's pivot to Bitcoin wasn't just bold, it was audacious. After 20 years of drifting, Saylor bet the company's entire treasury on Bitcoin. Hundreds of podcast appearances later, his Bitcoin strategy is almost as famous as Satoshi's origin story. But Saylor didn't stop there. A few months later, he discovered a way to stack even more Bitcoin without draining the company reserves: convertible notes. What is a convertible note? Think of like borrowing money to buy a treasure chest you're certain will appreciate. Instead of paying lenders back with cash, Saylor offered them the option to convert their loans into company stock later, when the treasure chest had appreciated in value. It was genius. MicroStrategy got more Bitcoin, and investors got a golden ticket to potential profits. Investors were attracted to the potential upside of converting debt into equity if MicroStrategy stock continued to rise, which it did, thanks to the appreciating value of its Bitcoin holdings. By leveraging the bond markets in this innovative way, Saylor effectively de-risked Bitcoin acquisition for the company, providing a blueprint for other corporations considering a similar move. And after 4 years of this MicroStrategy, Saylor has returned his company's stock back to its previous all-time high and beyond. So why should you care? For most founders, the wait that Saylor endured to finally revive his business would be soul-crushing. 2 decades is enough time to retire, launch another startup, or at least buy an island and disappear. Saylor's journey isn't just a business story, it's a Bitcoin parable. The road to success isn't always flashy or fast. It's often marked by resilience, pain, and the ability to think long-term when everybody else is chasing short-term gains. So ask yourself, are you ready to ride the wave, or are you content to tread water? Saylor's journey proves that the biggest rewards come to those willing to weather the storm and wait for their moment. Because in the world of Bitcoin, as in life, the long game always wins.
And my last point to you, you do not sell your Bitcoin.
Don't miss Michael Saylor Backstage.
So I wanted to talk about, you recently started saying that you used Bitcoin as a lifeboat and it was the only option MicroStrategy had.
Yeah, because it's an exit from currency debasement and a financial crisis, and it's also an exit from entropy and a physical law.
Also, in an interview, you talked about how people won't use Bitcoin to buy coffee, What is your input in the Bitcoin circular economies around the world that try to adopt it in their daily lives?
Well, I mean, I think Bitcoin is an economic foundation or capital foundation for every economy. So I would suggest that everyone use Bitcoin as their savings account. And then when you want to spend money in Argentina or Turkey, you just convert the day of into the local currency. So I expect over time you'll see a lot of balance between stable coins and local currency and long-term capital assets like Bitcoin. And you need both if you're going to be successful.
So is the Lightning Network a perfect scaling solution for Bitcoin? Do you see multiple layer 2 technologies for Bitcoin?
I think that Bitcoin's an open protocol, so Lightning is the best known and it's in flux, and I think it's a good solution, but I think that there'll be a lot of competition and there'll be lots of other people offering layer 2 protocols, and I applaud all of that innovation. I think it'll take us to a better place.
And will we see hyper-Bitcoinization, or what needs to happen in order for us to see it?
Well, I think in my presentation today, I showed that I expect Bitcoin to increase to the point where it's somewhere between 7 and 20% of all the world's assets. But I think that there will still be a world with other assets. There'll still be currencies and bonds and equities and property. And in that particular world, I think we'd maximize the productivity and the wealth and the prosperity of everybody involved.
The Trump administration were to offer you a position, would you take it?
I'm working full-time for Bitcoin.
Yeah. Do you think we're gonna be able to see hyper-Bitcoinization?
I think that Bitcoin's going to grow until it's the principal monetary index of the world and everybody is going to use it as their cost of capital. I think that'll be hyper-Bitcoinization. A lot of people are trapped in the existing system. And so if you want all of your families and institutions and corporations to be saved, then we need to integrate Bitcoin into the systems that they're dependent upon. I think that Bitcoin will be a 1,000x more successful if it's integrated into the world as opposed to apart from the world.
And what are your thoughts on Bitcoin being on the ballot this year in multiple countries around the world, not just in the US?
It's a sign of the maturation of the asset class that now it's an issue that people are thinking about. So it's a really good thing.
Out of all of the conspiracy theories out there, which one do you believe to be one that is true?
I think I think Satoshi was sent from the future to save us from ourselves.
Why do you love Bitcoin conferences?
I love to meet the Bitcoiners.